So here I put the note for one of the videos that I want to make. So it will be with us because I guess I just didn't feel like transferring it to my notebook yet. We'll do it soon. Kiva? Yes! Kivashka? Hello. Sound? Yes? Excellent. Hello. No way! Yo! Believe it, it's real. So today is Sunday night. I'm assuming that, again, not many new people will join. But even if they do, it's okay. Today I want to do some extension of the workshops. Because I want to talk about tantric practices, why we do them, and how to design your own. Because there are, of course, those standard conditioning, standard, of course, there will be different protocols for different people, but somewhat standard set of tantric practices that are conditioning practices. But are we limiting ourselves there? Not at all. Tantric practices are a huge, infinite, creative field where you can invent different things depending on your needs. You can blow it up to full setup of rituals. You can create practices that are easy to incorporate in your daily life. There are practices that you can perform once in a while. There are practices that you can design that you are going to return to them on the daily basis, for instance. Practices of various functions. You can create practices that you start your morning with. Practices that accompany you to bed. Practices that sounds familiar, Hippocrates says. Familiar to what? I haven't got to the daily life part, but it sounds interesting. Yeah. There are practices that you use to learn something about yourself and move on. There are practices that allow you to enter some desired state. There are practices that allow you to reignite a certain dominant value in your brain, to reinforce some new concept, new idea. There are practices that allow you to enter creative flow state if you, for example, lost your creative spark. Really important for my followers because a lot of my followers are very highly creative people for whom creative development and realization are a huge part of life, fundamental part of life. Paxton Bear. Hello, welcome. Happy that you joined. Okay, so sounds familiar in regards to creating your own practices. Okay, Hippocrates is wonderful. So I hope you won't be too bored, and if you are, then you can, as usual, you can just throw some fire in the chat and we will fluff it up. I only stay within the practices, Kiva says. I started the wrong round, Kiva, all unknown to me. Okay, so let's get started with those practices. There's approximately, probably in total will be 8 people who ever attended my workshop, and we have conducted 4 or 5 of them. And within those workshops, people already learned, at least touched, fundamental tantric practices, including full body breathing, including focus, defocus, including sensations in the body, and also elements of Shiva Shakti. But mainly these 3 classes of practices that are mainly addressing the physical manifestations of emotional states. And also some of our participants, our renowned participants, explored the reciprocity between the physical and emotional parts, components of emotions and states. Never bored, Nastya, Hippocrates says. Wonderful. So, but what to do next? Where can our creativity move from that? If we look, actually today I finished recording the big block of the practices. And it's a little intermission I want to share. Oh my God, how I enjoyed 2 practices specifically for women, or in the modern world, people with female organs, female physiology. Oh my God. 2 absolutely wonderful meditations. I'm still struggling to find beautiful names for them, but oh my God, it was so amazing. And also, I recorded the practice with a dive, and that's another insane experience. So there are experiential practices that are now on my menu to offer to you soon. But oh my God, they're so wonderful. And the beauty is that they're not too long, they're relatively short meditations, but so freaking effective. What I love about Tantra is that it works on the mind, on the body, in the emotions, everything is indivisible. It doesn't differentiate. Okay, this is mindfulness meditation in the mind, and this is physical meditation, or some physical massage, or some exercise. I love that it's all united, and I love that we can work with these things together, because that's where efficiency, that's where wholeness of a human is developed or reinforced. So, so those 3 practices today, oh, how I enjoyed that. It was super cool. Pardon the interruption, madam, question if I may, always may. Jack Nitroburst, thank you so much. So let's write down what we already have. We have full body breathing. We have focus, defocus. We have sensations in the body. And this one is 1, this one is 2, this one is, I think, 28 variants. This one. 28 plus also the branches that I was talking about, plus 2 for females specifically, I think. So we're talking about all of these variants of practices. Does the full body breathing go for each practice when ending? Is it a necessary thing? No, it's not. You can perform them separately during the day. The schedule is 5 days a week we're performing full body breathing. When? Up to you. Experiment, feel how it goes for you, and see where it will be appropriate for you to insert it. Hippocrates, as I explained the other night, as a kid, I didn't realize I had developed my own meditative state in order to cope, just to clarify. Yeah, I got it, but I was doing it dangerously. Yeah, I mean, the meditative state we can define. We can play with the definition. We can go into semantics of it. So what is meditative state? Remember, we had a live stream on meditation for coping and meditation for changing life. Just recall that. We had a whole conversation on that. Because meditation can be used as an adaptation for unfavorable conditions. And meditation can be used as a combination as an adaptation and as a way to change the environment, to give you an impulse, to empower you to change the environment, or to see the flawed nature of the environment fully, crystal clear, and from that pull the resource from you to be able to pursue the change. So that is an important distinction, because meditation indeed can be used to adapt, That's for sure. Yeah, Kiva. Not necessary to lump them together. Oh, thank you so much for beautiful stickers. So, we've got these. And Tantra, in fact, operates with the tools of visualization meditation, visual, audio, material, touch, plus movement, plus breathing. So we have in Tantra visual, audio, material or touch, movement, and breathing tools readily available to us. And even if we look at these meditations, plus also breathing practices we have, there will be three base combinations plus whatever you can come up with. Just from the basis of our practices, we can derive already those very important tools. We work already with visual channel. We can connect audio channel. We can introduce working with object, with touch, with touching self as well. Nobody prohibits us that. Movement, we can introduce movement. How my body responds to certain things. Let's observe. Remember, we had Hannah, who was actually turning her visualization meditation into full-blown movement practice, coupled with visualization, coupled with audio guidance, and breathing. Breathing is an incredible, powerful tool as well. What if I perform certain movement and start at the same time breathing? What if I connect visualization to that? What if I connect affirmative work to that? If I have some idea in mind that I want to enforce, knowing the properties of the breath that I'm performing, people who attend workshops, Hippocrates, wink, wink, people know that we can have breathing that is activating, launching our active, mobilized component of our autonomous nervous system. We can activate that and use that to our advantage if we need to wake something up, if we need to activate something. I can connect this breathing to whatever gymnastics I perform with whatever goals. I add breathing, and I add this powerful ally that can either strongly activate me, or that can pacify me, or that can balance me. I can perform a practice in which I will be leaning to one side, to the other side, to find the center. If I don't feel stability, for instance, I'm leaning forward, I'm leaning backwards, then I can couple that with balancing breathing. And I can couple that with visualization of the center. Because if you, for instance, attempt to visualize walking some direction in your mind, experiment with that. Is the direction that your mind draws as the path centered? Or is that direction leaning to one or the other side? Is your mind centered? We have those tools. And then I can work with the body. If I close my eyes, what part of the body am I connected with more? Left side, do I have a torque in my body? Do I have more activity in my body? Do I feel more awareness of one or the other part of my body? Do I feel asymmetry? Is my weight distributed symmetrically? If I center in my body, maybe one half of my body is hungry for attention. Maybe one half of my body bears more weight. Maybe one half of my body is tense. The other is more relaxed. What is happening in my body? When I connect, why not center it? Maybe I want to design a practice to find that center. And through that, find some resource, some mental resource for balancing myself. Then, if I feel, for instance, another example, I feel very small. I experienced some abusive or highly uncomfortable event in my life. Someone triggered something from my childhood which gave me sense of inferiority, that gave me sense of weakness, a sense that I lost my expertise in the moment, or sense that I cannot trust myself, or sense that I don't own my life, sense that I don't perceive the world clearly. What is the natural remedy for that? What is my instinct as a person who knows the reciprocity between our mind and emotions and our body? That who knows that the body is the projection of my psyche. The body is my materialized psyche. If I know that, how can I work with my body to find that normal, adequate state in which this is my body, this is my life, this is the scope that I control? I can touch, I can work with that, I know exactly where I go, I know exactly who I am, I know exactly my resources and power. What can I do? I can go into my body and inflate it inside, in my psychophysical space of this reciprocity, equivalency. I use breath, I use movement. I use this movement. I feel like, you know how sometimes in the gas stations they have those inflatable dolls that inflate, or Michelin tires actually, they have this white anthropomorphic creature that's inflated. I can use this movement and I can use the visualization and feeling that my breath penetrates every corner of my body, inflating it. I'm reaching this adequate state. I'm reaching the state of beyond being bothered. I own everything. I affirm it through movement, through being in that state. 3, 4, 5 minutes. There is not much needed, not much time needed for that. But just to return to that state. Because tension, emotional distress loves to make us shrunk. Blood doesn't flow. Tissues are not nurtured. They're sending signals to the brain that we are stressed, we are encapsulated, we are tense, we are starving. Blood vessels are constricted. Dilate them. Sending this feedback back to the brain, circulating this idea that I am inadequate size and shape. Then, if I notice that there is some tension, I notice some nodule inside that doesn't seem to dissolve. What can I do to that? people who are savvy in these practices, they can notice that if I can see those sensations in my entire body, I can now do it with different parts of the body. I can use the same principles in a localized fashion. Why not seed some pleasant sensation in my face if I want to radiate? Why not heal some body part, access the body part through pleasure by sending or oscillating different delightful states through it? Or maybe I notice that some of my body parts feels depressed. I'll access it through that. I know how to seed sensation of sadness, passivity into the body. And I know how to move out of it. So I'll access it. I will emphasize the state of passivity in that body part. And then, knowing how to switch, I will switch. And then I can aid it with breathing. I can polish it up with breathing. I can condition and attune the entire body to that, to show to the body that everything is fine. Let's relax, recover, regenerate, and come to the balance of bliss. Or for instance, I feel not inspired enough. I tend to feel down. I tend to downplay my desires, my abilities. I want to perform something, or I want to say something, or I want to go and meet someone. I want to go and talk to that girl, or I want to go talk to that man. I want to present myself this way to the world. But I don't feel up to that. I know that the state that I want is there and then. But I don't embody that. So I design a practice for myself in which I will, knowing the laws of how our body and nervous system work, I will create a practice in which I will combine my physiology with the idea of the state that I want to access, such that I bring myself to the world in this beautiful, pleasureful, energetic way, as opposed to hiding from experiences. I visualize that state. I bring up a symbol. What is that? Is this a beautiful flower? Is it a beautiful tropical tree? Is it some fruit that I want to embody, the energy, the association? Is it a specific person? Is it a specific glow, radiance? Is it specific image with certain clothing or scenario? Or all of these? I can infuse my visual space, my space of symbols, with everything that reinforces that image. And I can connect it with breathing. I connect it with beautiful choreography. Where's our movement? I'm covering movement with my movement. Beautiful choreography. Or perhaps with material, with some symbol. Why not? If it's a piece of silk, if it's a piece of clothing, if it's a piece of jewelry, it's a rock, it's a note with your words, with your ideas, that you will hold in your hands. Maybe it will be living flower, the petals. Where do you want to put these petals on your body? Where will they give you that sensation, that impulse? Maybe it's perfume. It's a melody. Do you have a melody for the state that you want to awaken? But then you go into meditation. It's not necessary that you will have it pre-choreographed. You will receive so much feedback. In the practice, it's important to listen to your body. If impulses start coming up, follow them. Does your body want to bend and open? Does your body want to open your arms? Does your body want you to open your hips? Does your body want you to stretch? Does your body want you to lay down, spread on the ground? Does your body want you to kneel down? Does your body want you to stick your tongue out? What is that? Follow that. And now how to design all these practices. How to actually orchestrate them. Do we need to have a plan? Do we need to have a precise intention? Let's discuss it next. I want to see the chat now. Thank you, Kivushka. Poo poo poo. I found touch to bring inner awareness with the breathing. Shuriken. Good. Sir Fry, hello. Sound practices are some of the most dissociative practices I found, but everybody's different. Najendra, hello. We were doing breathing, chanting, and visualization with the asana in all our exercises back in the day. It's the idea of becoming fully involved through the synthesis of thought, word, and deed. Leslie, hello. Thank you so much. Shuriken, pay attention, folks. This may sound kooky to some, but it's important stuff. Serious stuff. Sorry, a radioactive isotope was the first thing that came to mind. Interesting. Uranium-235. I don't know, but to me it feels like the mind is doing more than what the body wants, if that makes sense. Then again, I'm dealing with thought overloads. Oh, Kiva, to me it feels like the mind is doing more than what the body wants. Huh. Do you feel barriers when it happens, or how do you describe this discrepancy? Why is it felt like they are two separate things? I'm curious. And then if we have questions on this topic, on what I already talked about, let's discuss. The average joy, hello. Yes, madam. Almost like two separate. And an interesting thing about the impulse for choreography that happens on the ground when you're laying down. Would be also interesting, Kiva, to dance what it is to have a lot of thoughts in your head. Would be very interesting to do that. To live through the body how it is to have a lot of thoughts. So I will draw the toolbox while you guys are thinking about questions. The toolbox that we have visual, channel, audio, breathing, movement, what else was there? Material, touch. Let's do touch. Touch, objects. So this is our toolbox. So again, that feels possible, especially in this modern world of ours. Passive ruminations, the mind going 1,000 miles an hour. Reckon it makes slowing it down. It makes slowing it down all the more important. Or again, through path of no resistance, what if channel it through the body? Choreography, I don't know if that will work out the way I want it to, because the first time with the emotions it didn't hold through. I'll keep it in mind though. Thank you, man. If you create a dance with, okay, this is a lot of thoughts. Let's imagine this is a lot of thoughts. What do they do? Do they do something like whatever they do? Are they like ants running around? Is it like this peculiar feeling in the fingertips? Is it what it does to the rest of the body? Is it some shake? Or is it, too many thoughts? Some people enter passivity from a lot of thoughts. They feel like just hiding like this. How does body respond to that? And then when you channel that all through your body, when you allow those thoughts to actually connect, what will be the response? The answer may be in the body as well. That might be a surprise. Oh, gifts. Hippocrates, thank you so much. Yes, I changed my mind. Sounds like a song. A lot of people don't realize they invite dissociative states into their lives every day via music, etc. But it's the imperfection of words in amongst that can bring awareness. Support, yes, Kiushka. Thank you for celebrating with me. Hippocrates, thank you so much. But I need to read your message again. Yes, I changed my mind. This is a good news. Sounds like a song. A lot of people don't realize they invite dissociative states into their lives every day via music, etc. But it's the imperfection of words in amongst that can bring awareness. I'm not sure if I understand the last sentence. But I agree with dissociative states. With when there is unintentional exposure to intense stimulus. And here I have a story. Once I was on the car ride with my research advisor and he was a senior researcher. So we're in the car, driving from I guess we were performing some experiments in another city, so it was like 3-4 hour drive. And I'm the person who doesn't casually or habitually watch the news. And they somehow, between radio rock music and some news channel, they somehow opted for news channel that time. And we were listening to this hypnosis with literal manipulation, just a cocktail in it. And to me, as a person who never watched the news, I was able to pick out so many tactics, so many hooks. Choice of voice, choice of intonation, choice of intensity, the delivery, the melody of the speech, the speed, the accents, interruptions. It's such a fabricated thing. It's such a fabricated audio stream that you don't notice sometimes how you enter altered state of mind from that. Through hooks that are very primordial. And music as well. Last time we were talking about, remember Kiva? Kiva started a new tradition with singing, and we went on the topic of songs. You open any pop song, lyrics, if you sing along, you actually are going to sing such nonsense into your head in most cases. From some like strange deals, like talking about death, talking about choices, talking about some SH, no harm, talking about some strange relationship behaviors. And this is subliminally talked into it in the rhythmical fashion. So it's a low-grade trance, low-grade hypnosis for sure. It's something that you have to be mindful of. That's why sometimes it's easier to listen to music, to songs that are in the language that you don't understand, than to find songs that are in the language that you understand that you would vibe with. I think the market of such songs that don't sound corny at the same time is very small. Maybe it's something that we can explore to bring some beautiful messaging, some holistically beautiful messaging. I mean guidance, something I didn't have. I guess you're referring to the last sentence. I remember some correct. Thank you, Hippocrates. I guess I'm doing this on my Shuriken Jitsu practice all the time, channeling everything through the body. This is why Shuriken Jitsu always tends to manifest the inner state of the practitioner. Question, madam, yes? I'll go drink something. So, is this choreography idea, it is through thoughts or emotions or both? It is however you perceive having lots of thoughts. If you feel like it's something overwhelming, if you feel like it separates you from the body, like you can live in those thoughts and your body, you don't notice what's happening with it, try tuning yourself to those thoughts with your body and dance how it feels. If it's emotions, dance those emotions. Try finding them in your body. How your body understands them. How your body moves through them. What is it in the united human experience? Anything can be. Emotions, thoughts, whatever states. To help yourself, you can also take a symbol. If it doesn't work from, for instance, just idea of thoughts, feeling of thoughts, and your body, you can take an object that symbolizes thoughts. This is a box of thoughts, let's say. This is a box filled with thoughts. You can put, I don't know, grab actual box, put, let's say, sand or gravel in it, whatever you have in your garden. You can put it in it and feel that this is weight of thoughts. Touch them. All of these are thoughts. Feel how your fingers sink in them, how they can move those pebbles or sand, how they can shake, how you can work with them. And then you can dance with this object, how you can interact with them. It will be bypassing your consciousness. The beauty of this experience is that it goes beyond consciousness. So your consciousness can be observing what's happening to you, you know? Thoughts, I feel like I can't do any choreography, but emotions, yes. Try it. Give it a try. Without any expectations. If you can't, when you try, totally fine. Emotions will be cool as well. Hippocrates rejected the message. I didn't mean it, but I might not get a chance to send it later, so send it now. Hippocrates, I really appreciate that. You know, we have, unless we are amidst some guided process with someone, I can jump from idea to idea. So usually it works, unless maybe I have like 3 or 4 streams going on. But don't worry about that. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your gift. And Shuriken brought up this excellent point as well about this practice. What's potentially inappropriate again? Okay, it's nothing, girl. Little for what you deserve. Thank you so much, Hippocrates. Girl. Standing choreography. I wish it was possible for me, but thoughts and emotions won't exactly stay. Standing choreography, laying down choreography, you're setting the rules, your body. Moreover, your body sets the rules. Your body, without excessive thinking, sets the rules. You can even start the choreography and then introduce concepts, or you can catch yourself in thoughts, having too many of them, and set up a dance right in that moment, spontaneously. I found an alternative, of course, with low choreography. Yes, you can stay low, and you can do that on the ground, and then see if you can get up. Maybe you will feel an impulse to get up. And also, Kiva, there is no need to even hold on to emotions. You can start with emotions and end with pure physical experience. Energy is interchangeable. So your emotional charge may transcend to physical experience. See what happens. It's a play, it's a game, it's an interesting experiment after all. There is potentially no need to hold on to emotions. You can use them as a fuel or as a starting point or as an inspiration to see what it is that that your body craves. So emotions don't have to be a part of it. Emotions don't have to continue to be a part of it. You don't have to retain them. You can do whatever you want, whatever your body wants. If you know what I'm saying. Sorry, that's twice now. The girl thing came out. It's a country thing. Oh, make it your thing. I enjoy it. Tantra means the science or technology to go beyond the body and the mind. Beyond the body and mind. No, we actually don't go beyond. Where instead we are uniting body and mind. We use them as non-mutually exclusive, in fact connected. We bring awareness to indivisible nature of body and mind. That's what we do. But potentially this may feel like going beyond, but okay, why are you sad? why crying emojis? Thank you, madam, for clarification. Sorry with all the questions. No, sorry. That's what makes a live stream, Kiva. Thank you. Hello, that is all. Ghost Cider says, sure. So, are we ready to move on to how to design the practice and what defines the practice? Ecstasy King. It's Tantra, not some kind of astral projection. Yeah. Yeah, Tantra is very earthly, very naturalistic, materialistic perhaps. And nowadays with scientific evidence, it has a lot of basis in what people understand about how brain and body work. So might seem like mysticism, but the most mystical thing about Tantra is how well it works. So are we ready for chapter 2? Or do you want to discuss something else? Biofeedback and all that stuff. Wait, one more question for one. Yes, give us sure. Wonderful. Express yourself, don't repress yourself, like Madonna says. With the full body breathing, you're supposed to feel refreshed, right, madam? When finished, you can feel refreshed or you can feel asleep. So, depending on your starting point. But it can have a range from ecstatic experiences to deeply restful experiences depending on the initial condition. If your initial condition is rather tired, then you will probably get deeply tired in a good way and relaxed, then will fall asleep. Or you might enter some deep meditative state, or you might find ecstatic feelings. When I did it for the first time, I was giggling because I felt so much. Then when I started doing it more, I started entering this meditation consistently. Deep meditation, and then when I was tired doing it, when I was doing it late at night, I would just fall asleep to it. So I incorporate it as my pre-bedtime routine. Thank you, Shuriken. Yeah, zebra. I have my fashion friend, an artist. He's like super stylish, 60-something years old man. He is my artistic advisor, and I remember he was so curious and skeptical about the zebra pattern up until I made this dress. So it was cool. Madonna was an attention seeker though, good mind, but for wrong reasons. I mostly get a foggy experience in the mind with a full body electrical feeling, so I was curious. Thank you, madam. Kiva, you can build your own stats. Understanding how it works will give you the insights. And experimenting, whether you do it in the morning, during the day, before bed, will also show you things about yourself and how you respond to it. Foggy experience, though? What do you mean by foggy experience? Because brain fog comes to mind, and it usually has negative connotation. What is your foggy experience? Cool. Yeah, the fabric was an inspired choice. I was looking at this fabric for a couple of years. Fortunately, it remained in stock. They had this swampy green version and orange, and then I had my birthday money. And I just bought this fabric, and it was the happiest. Foggy. Hippocrates invites us to his foggy state. All the flippin' time. Foggy or misty. Foggy or, I don't know, whimsical twilight forest. Well, it happens between the sleep and awake stage. Okay. So you enter something between sleep and awake, right? Light fog. Okay. Is it pleasant or is it like, ooh, I want to exit that? What's your feeling about it? As much as I always love green, that orange is the perfect color to complement your coloring, I think. Thank you. Shuriken, I had to give up. Mood Fabrics wasn't delivering, wasn't ordered it like in advance, but they kept my order in this hanging state for days, almost a week. I called them and I'm like, "Are you going to ship this thing? I have flight like 2 days from now," and they were like, unless you accelerate and we'll give you a quote for whatever courier can bring it to you." And I was like, I'm not gonna risk that. It was such a stunning fabric. Oh my god, it was so beautiful. Hippocrates, trying to grasp branches in the mystical twilight forest, words to pick, but trouble getting them into my hand most of the time. B. Words to be picked, but trouble getting them into my head most of the time. Hippocrates. That's actually a familiar sensation. Sometimes I have this chase with new concepts. When I learn something, I go into that state as if something is slipping. Like I'm trying to, I almost understood something and it's just slipping. And I have to restrain myself from chase. And just like sit back and re-own this thing. To recognize that thoughts are not moving train. Thoughts are rather arising right here in the compartments of my brain. And I just need to not scare them away. I need to let them come. That's what I do. Because chase starts creating some anxiety, disappointment, and then, yeah, it gives this fluid feeling that you, like a fish, you can never like catch it with your hands. It's always moving. So the thing that I found for that specific phenomenon is just to give up on the chase, sit down and give a domain, open a domain. A pleasant, but I don't exactly like the slight fog feeling. I don't think it goes well with my thoughts overload because it takes time for them to return. Извините, пожалуйста, we can now stay topic and move on. It's okay, Q, it's wonderful. So, not exactly like the slight fog feeling. Well, there are probably times of the day when you would not be attached to the thoughts, not be perhaps feeling particular rush to be with those thoughts. Perhaps schedule this practice then when you know that you are not interested in processing them. And that will ease your mind, maybe again before sleep or before some events, some activities that don't involve this active thinking, when you know that you're not going to be processing them. Maybe that will be a reasonable move, such that you can have time, such that you can respect time for both activities, both streams. And yep, in eureka moments, getting plucked from your hand just the moment of contact. Yes, that's pain. Oh man, I don't like the sound of So, questions, comments, concerns. I'll start prepping on the board. So we need to now formulate a practice. I don't know if I'm comfortable with the thoughts. I don't know, I'm comfortable with the thoughts. Okay. Good to know, good to reflect on that, Keep. If they are not a burden, if they are rather something that you crave, it's wonderful. You can dial back to doing full body breathing less times a week, maybe, as well. You will be the first person who would treat full body breathing, like in my experience, who would feel about full body breathing as like, oh, again. So if it gives you these sensations, then maybe dial back. Because a common trend is that people usually feel rather tired and unable to shake off some worries, to relax, to remove the overactive mind. So it's, yeah, for you, you're a more unique person in that regard. I was avoiding it at times. Okay, sure. You can dial it back to 2-3 times a week. And give yourself this deep rest sessions as like more of a hygienic thing as opposed to I want to relax type of thing, you know? Because yeah, I worked with a lot of people with more anxiety shift, with more depression/anxiety accentuations. So for them, it's really, really, really important to have this regular, meticulous hygiene, and moreover, they are looking forward to some space of relief. So for you, the demand for that is probably far less. So you can include this practice in a more elective fashion, in a more of a, okay, this, I'm exercising this state of mind, for instance, as opposed to heavily relying on its regulatory properties, as it would be in the case of people who are in this very chronically agitated state or in this very fatigued state with depression. For you, the focus of that is to just exercise, tap into this other state, this rest, to boost the efficiency. I do find it kind of strange, this, I guess, bond with thoughts along practices, but at the same time, super cool. What's Tantric Practices? Luigi Diaz, stick along. We are about to discuss that. Kiva, next time, maybe try this breath through the top of your head or the pit of your stomach and see how that works for you. Not literally, of course, but you know. So Luigi Diaz is very curious about Tantric practices, so we're going to move on, I guess. I haven't gone past the click. I mostly avoided for the thought's sake. But you described the foggy feeling. Foggy feeling is something that I would attribute to post-click thing. Maybe you are gradually moving into the fog. Yes, I did recently go past the click. So practice Tantric practice, how to customize them, how to work with them, what to do. What differentiates practice from just daily activity? What we're chatting right now, is it a practice? I'm gonna sit on the chair right now. Is it a practice? Did I perform a practice? I open the marker. Is it a practice? Smell the marker. Smells are super cool. Brings me to childhood. My mom worked as a teacher, and at school, whiteboards started replacing the chalkboards, and I remember I really loved the smell of markers. Is it a practice? Hardly. Move the chair. Is it a practice? No. I will do now 3 squats. Is it a practice? Did I dirty my dress? No. Is it a practice? No. So what is a practice? Cloudy with a chance of tantric fog, yeah. So, Shuriken brings up wonderful first point. Anything can be a practice. It depends on one's intention, I suppose. Yes, so criterion of a practice is that we have intention. It's an intentional thing. Then, okay, now I have an intention. What intention can I have with sitting on the chair? I will bring this chair, I'll put it here now. How will I sit on this chair? And it will be a practice. I can, for instance, envision a super graceful woman who does everything with pleasure. And I want to embody that archetype. This functioning of a woman who gets pleasure from just everything in life. So I see this chair and I can use sitting on the chair to embody the scenario through movement of being a woman that gets pleasure, that nurtures herself with pleasure from every single activity. So I attune to this idea. I hold on to the chair. I feel now so much more. I feel the back of the chair. I feel my body. I feel how my body sinks. I pursue comfort and grace, certain internal grace that's associated with pleasureful living, pleasureful experience. I am sitting on this chair. I feel the texture of the cushion. Sitting becomes an experience with full awareness. I feel how I'm breathing, how comfortable I'm getting. I'm trying to get comfortable and allow myself to breathe fully. Now, sitting on the chair turned into a practice. Now, what else makes practice a practice? Yeah, I must crop it as a highlight. The practice has entry point and an exit. I like to draw it as this box or this room. It's kind of transparent room that I will draw, but it's not necessarily transparent. It has a door that we enter. And it has the door that we can exit. Practice, we need to announce that we are starting the practice. And then we announce to ourselves that we ended the practice. So the practice, remember our concept of controllable domain. There is in and out. In and out. And it is a controllable domain. This system, practice has this system. Hannah Lucy? Hello? Intention and in and out moment when we are announcing that I begin the practice. From this moment onward, I turn on all of my awareness. From just functioning, from just running around, okay, I need to write something on the whiteboard, I need to go drink my tea, I am not feeling anything. I am setting up the domain in which my awareness is heightened. This is what this step accomplishes. Intention helps me to design this domain. Intention helps me to find the entry point into this domain. But what happens in this domain is heightened awareness. While I'm in this space, I am focusing on specific things, and I know that I enter it, symbolizing that I am turning on awareness of something. And then I have certain time. Practice has time as well. We're performing it. It's space and time. So space and time, dedicated. And then I know when this practice ends. I have a ritual to respect this. Because when my awareness is heightened, when I'm actively processing, suddenly, imagine inside of the practice, I suddenly process much more information. I suddenly process a lot of novel inputs. Where in the daily life will I be actively living through the idea that I, for instance, have a ton of thoughts bothering me, or a ton of thoughts moving in my head, and I cannot quite catch the conclusion in them? I suddenly become hyper-aware of that on all levels of my being, and I'm living through that. I'm allowing every part of my body to feel that fact. It's totally novel information for my brain. It's totally different pathway. I need to rest afterwards. There's wind down after the practice. So we need to know another thing that is required for the practice is winding down. Wind down. After we have exited the practice, we need to rest because we've just loaded our mind with a lot of new sensory information. This is an important step. So something that happens before, then designing of the domain, and wind down. And then all of this requires method. Let's write it also. Do I need to write upside down, flipped again as well? I think I'm overthinking it. And we need method. This whole thing requires method. And this is where we go back to our tools and understanding of what happens in our brain, what happens in our psychophysical space. How can I incorporate objects? How can I incorporate touch, movement, breathing, audio, visual channels? What can I do with these things? This is the most artistic part of it. Practices have resting points within when exiting. Yes. Shuriken seal. Pleasant tension between Hana and Hippocrates. Okay, I will keep that noted. Yes. So what do we do with the method? This block is clear, I'm assuming. Criteria for practice, that it's intentional, it has controllable domain, entry and exit points, in and out, and what happens inside a controllable domain, dedicated space and time. And practices have a wind down after the exit, such that we can effectively process information afterwards, such that all of these new inputs can be digested by the brain and become some active knowledge, can become our active tools can become our new behavioral adaptations. Let's now erase this and talk about the method. One way to build a method for the practice can begin with a simple question. What do I want? What do I want? The options can be plenty. Energy, arousal, inspiration, inspo, if you allow, relaxation, then happy relationship, health, myself, finding myself, very important demand. Better lifestyle. So what do I want? Then my talent. Add your desires to this list. You can make a wish list of what you would want to accomplish with the practices, what tools you would want to have on hand. Analyze your life. What are your life priorities? Where you're lacking, where you feel lack, where you feel barriers, where you feel discomfort, where you feel some changes needed. Analyze that. Clarity can also be, we can also see clarity. Sexuality. So, make a diagram like this. Find what you want. And then for every criterion, you can start designing practices. Which one do you want from this list? Which one would you want to uncover as an example? We have clarity, sexuality, energy, happy relationships, lifestyle, health, inspiration, arousal, myself, relaxation, talent here. Maybe something else. So let's drop in the chat. Which one would you want as an example? Okay, I'll keep that noted. I used to think exiting was the only resting point, but to know there are also more within the practice is very cool and useful. Learning more every stream, wonderful. I would pick energy, I guess. Okay, so Kiva votes for energy. What's Hannah? What do you want to work on? Me too, it takes my full attention. Everyone's thinking, for which aspect would you want to design a practice? And drop in the chat. Don't be silent. Let's think. Relax would be mine, and my errand was surprisingly short, as it turns out. Hee. Okay, sure. So we have relaxation we're going to work on, energy, and vote more. This is once again the most active I've been in the chat. Wonderful. Practice design. Assign words to chat participants in regards to their contributions. Positive words that drive the parts of you that are lacking or forgetting. Oh, that's hard one. Hippocrates. So we have energy and relaxation. Let's do more. Couple of more. If you agree, guys, on that, if you find that energy and relaxation is something that will satisfy you, then we're going to stick with these two only. If there are no more inputs, I'm waiting 30 more seconds, or we'll wait till 1 hour, 18 minutes, and I'm going to start designing the method. Ты что там чихаешь, работник? Маленький co-host Кузьмич рогозит там. By the way, it was so unprecedented that I conducted so many live streams sitting, because when I was in my grad school, in the research group, I never could present sitting. I would always be the one who would be walking back and forth in front of the whiteboard or in front of the projector. It was my thing that I could not think or perform seated. I want peace in myself. That's relaxation, right? No, it's peace in myself. Could be clarity, could be anything. Peace in myself, that's a task in itself. Peace could be actually found in all of these, so it might be dissected more. Could be relaxation, could be clarity, could be peace with finding your talent, finding yourself. So it could be finding myself. So we have 3 setups. We want energy. We want relaxation. And we want peace, finding myself. So 3 tasks we've got. Relaxation can certainly help facilitate a peaceful state. Yes, sure it can, for sure. It's a comprehensive thing. That's why, yeah, there might be more exploration done to find exact pathway to that. Okay, so let's begin with energy. To design a practice, we actually need to for ourselves first determine what is not energy. How does it feel to not have energy? What is our starting point? We might start with the void, no energy. And at the same time, we might throw ideas into our active processor. What to me represents energy? What is that? And I can use all of these things. First is very easy for a lot of people, visual. What are the visual analogies? What are the visual elements that to me conduct energy? And what is the visual for not having energy? If I am to design this comprehensive practice, so I am looking for visual things that are void of energy, devoid of energy, no energy, low energy, and that are high energy. That's one way we can do this. Then we can look, now Kiva especially, our master student, knows all breathing techniques that increase energy levels, that can boost them up. We can employ, we know that we have whole menu of breathing that can boost up or attune us with high energy state. Then we also know that high energy is contingent upon us being very well rested. Not only energy is harvested, not only energy is just stimulated, like to get some coffee effect, but energy is also found through rest. Energy is regenerated with rest. Energy requires us to be restful. So components, the recipe for energy is, first of all, to be well rested. At the same time, to not waste energy elsewhere. Energy, well rested. Remove energy drain. Then visualize void and energy. Then breathing. So we prime ourselves for having high energy. Then we identify energy drains. We need to perform some purification where this energy is getting drained. Then we can start introducing visual stimulation, connection with what it is to have high energy and what is the void. How can I go from the void to high energy? Remember practices that we're performing, we find the state where we are now, for instance, low energy. And then we walk ourselves, we find the internal method to achieve high energy. Can be accomplished through visual tools. And we can connect breathing to that. And then we can connect movement to that. So what would be the proposed practice? If you, for instance, already have very good condition in terms of you eat well, there are no deficiencies, you sleep well, but you just cannot tap into the high energy state. Or you want to find a reliable recipe to get into the high energy state. So we've covered this well-rested part through lifestyle adjustments. Now, we go into the practice. I feel low energy state. Okay. A visual thing, visually. Right now I will be designing it, testing it for myself. Low energy state. I am laying on a cool ground. I am trying to rest. Nothing presses on me, but I feel this specifically cooling and as if sucking, magnetizing me state in which I'm like low on the ground. The sky is rather cloudy. So in this visual space, I feel the sky is cloudy. Everything is very cooling. And I'm just like almost, you know how dirt, how mud has this suction effect when it's like sucks your boots. I feel this sensation. And I'm resting. I cannot get up. I'm almost like glued to this ground. This to me is low energy state. And now I need to find something that's incredibly attractive, something that's incredibly natural to me at the same time. And that is associated with elevated energy state, such that it awakens the resource in me that I have, I just can't connect to it. So I first allow myself to rest slow on the ground until it gets boring, until it gets unpleasant. Because when you maximize the state of low energy, it will help you to not get stuck to it. You will exhaust this state. When you're in full devoted, dedicated meditation, it's different from just like, you know, picking your phone, doing some instant gratification thing, like this low-grade activity that just hyperstimulates your brain, putting you in some strange hypnosis. Instead of that, in meditation, you're exhausting that state. That's why we maximize it through visualizing the void, this void state. Let yourself sink into it. Perhaps let yourself completely dissolve. Like again, in my visual space, it is this cold mud. I'm on the ground, sucked into this mud, and I will let myself dissolve in this mud. I'm dissociating. Instead of getting myself unstuck from this mud through force, I'm allowing myself to fully dissolve in it. I find ease in it. Now my body is unbound. Instead of forcing myself out, I'm dissolving in it. Now I'm free. In this dissociation, I let myself fully rest in this low energy state to the extent of full dissociation. I can choreograph that as well. You see my body responds to what I'm describing. Full breath. Finally, I can take a full breath after I've dissociated, after this rest. I want to open my body. My legs automatically go wider. My arms go out. And my breath begins to deepen. I'm taking a deep, light breath. I'm envisioning I don't have material shape. I'm just dissociated and there is a lot of light. Now, through this light, I remain in it. I'm not forcing anything. I'll ask myself eventually, when it starts being boring, when I start feeling like my brain feels a lack there again, there's lack again. Do I want anything materialized in front of me? Is it too empty? When I start, instead of feeling novelty and restfulness in this dissociated state, at some point I start feeling emptiness. I want to infuse this visual space with life. I start craving it. It's too empty. I start craving something. I start craving some movement, object, something that to me represents life, vitality. I see birds. There are birds flying up. Flowers? No, I don't want flowers. I want it to be as airy as possible. So there are birds, there are butterflies, and I myself, I start moving up and up and up. There is this bird-like movement coming my way. My body starts craving this bird-like movement. Do I want to move further? My body wakes up to it. And suddenly I feel like I want to move my back. My back craves this movement now. I float with birds. There is blue sky. There is beauty around me. Some birds, whatever objects come to my imagination. My breath becomes deep. My breath becomes strong. It becomes like more of a sympathetic breath. I can notice that. And I keep moving. I feel actually goosebumps right now. My body responds so much. It becomes an overwhelming sensation. I can deepen, I can strengthen my moves more and more. More and more of my body moves to it. I can start dancing with my hips as my body keeps waking up and craving more of this movement. Now I'm swimming, there is fish playing, there is people. I start like feeling that there are active, laughing people, beautiful, energetic people all around me. I start feeling this relatable energy. People playing in water, splashing everywhere, bright, beautiful, luminous splashes of water in the air, sunshine, all of this imagery, and I'm playing with them, fully embodied. At that stage, I can start exiting the meditation because I found that state. This is this energy. I exit it and I feel my whole body pumping this energy. I'm ready to act. This is where I exit the meditation, and remember we had the rest after meditations, activating meditations, you can do action instead. Whatever I wanted to do, I'm going to do something active. I got my energy. So this was an example of how we can design the practice for it. I showed you how my brain worked to accomplish this task. You will have your own story, but I think the principle is clear. This is so intriguing, yeah. And actually works really well. I feel really like sensations like we get from certain things, certain practices. And then also, by the way, I was completely lost in the topic in the best way. Wonderful. So what I want to comment on. In this meditation, you will notice what I just walked through. There is a component of non-resistance that we did there, allowing to dissociate, maximize the state. And then what also happens is the bare principle of entering the sympathetic state, more active state. I intuitively employed coolness. I intuitively employed breath that corresponds to the sympathetic state. So that was something that we already studied in the workshops. But it can be accomplished in many ways. And when we study sensations in the body, this is exactly what happened right now in this meditation. It happened, it came naturally. Coolness is activating, coolness is mobilizing. And then movement comes. We actually feed the body with its natural demand for movement when we crank up our sympathetic response. Breath deepens. And you notice, by the way, when you practice sensations in the body, the breath starts automatically responding to the states that we're inducing in the body. So these principles carried over, and we just animated them a little bit more. And another component to this meditation is now we have strong visual. To me, it was the visual of this super beautiful water with splashes, with droplets, and with people celebrating life in this water. Very beautiful people, very specific faces, very specific mood, very specific ambiance that came to my mind. So now, from this meditation, I am carrying away a glimpse, the trigger, a visual trigger, that will help me to recall the state quickly without needing to go through the full sequence of this meditation. Maximizing dissociation, just maxing. Since I'm kind of familiar with certain things for this practice to play out, then it will be a bit easier for me to design this practice in my own way. Yes, Kiva. And there are no restraints. Follow the diffusion. Follow the impulses. Follow what feels right. So fill this visual with the most beautiful, with the most attractive things. Seek, don't compromise. In these meditations, no compromise. We're not resisting, we're not compromising. We're not trying to go by any rule book. We are, in turn, reconnecting everything in one synergistic splash. Guys, I can multitask. I'm either in the phone absorbing everything and capable of putting the phone down and listening to do other things. Someone's speaking, they get my full attention. Got it? Understood. Feels wonderful. Beautiful self-guidance and empowerment. Thank you for your stream. Leaving work and stay scrolling scribe. Have a nice night. Having no resistance seems to be a natural thing for me. I always have an embrace with practices. Wonderful, Kiva. So are we done with energy maxing? I'm ready to go to relaxation maxing. Actually, I need to drink because I ate smoked mackerel. Копченая скумбрия. And now I'm thirsty as hell. So, 1 second. You got a bunch of laundry. Hippo, how's yourself learn that? Tea refill, tea time, actual food. On that hand, I won't change it. Okay, so guys, let's then recollect, and I will prepare the whiteboard and we will move on to relaxation now. Just will relax while you guys are prepping food and drinks. So I'm just gonna illustrate to you the practice, okay? Follow along. I mean, none of my business, but we're all here for the same reason. Question, madam. Yes. It's one thing at a time for me, Shuriken, and my kids play, and they exploit me for it. Hee hee hee. Hana says, hee hee hee. It's too late. Okay, so let's either put the phone down or don't for me. It's too late for tea for me. I'm prepping to maximize relaxation. Lax maxing. With clarity, work for thoughts. You don't have to go into depth about it, just wondering. So we can of course move on. Good impression? Okay, so lax maxing. With clarity, work for thoughts. Clarity would surely work for thoughts, especially when there are many thoughts, but they don't go into composition. When they don't assemble into a puzzle, when they don't come into conclusion, when they don't allow you to formulate some cohesive story, when they don't allow you to create some logical chain, when they're just disordered thing. Yes, clarity meditation will for sure be something that will help. So clarity, I will put as an option then. So, lax maxing. I hope we're ready. What is relaxation? What do we need to understand about the relaxation? Can we be relaxed in our thoughts, not have any... Thank you, Hannah. Can we have no thoughts, but completely wooden body? A state of low dynamic twins? Twins? I like the word twins, tension. Thank you, Michael. Tension is a cooler word. So, it's the state of low dynamic tension. But can we have no thoughts, or pretty peaceful thoughts, but the body is like... Absolutely. It's not relaxation. Can we be completely demoralized, be absolutely overwhelmed with thoughts, incredibly mentally fatigued, lay on the couch or on the floor in an embryo pose, but at the same time be completely non-relaxed? Is this scenario possible? Absolutely possible. So we can have seeming paradoxes of tension. We can be mentally, seemingly, absolutely relaxed, but absolutely tense in the body, or uncomfortable, or breathing like this. Or we can be laying down in an absolutely defeated state, with millions of thoughts spinning around, giving us incredible mental distress to the extent of failure. So relaxation pathways for different people will be different. depending on the type of tension and depending on where our nervous system resides. Because there could be SNS dominance, remember from the workshops, that leads to shutdown. Low vagal tone, inability to relax basically. If our nervous system is fried, our system is completely overused, a human may not be able to relax fully, even when they don't go through active stressful event. They just can't. Their body cannot respond to relaxation. Their body cannot relax to removal of stress factor. Very commonplace phenomenon. That's what causes this perpetual stress. That's what spirals people down into depression, exhausting their resources. When they've fried their nervous system and their physical, all of this connection system through vagus nerve, they fried it up. The responsivity is super low. It's impossible to go from excited state to a relaxed, peaceful state, through electrified state to a relaxed, calm state. The function is broken. So relaxation pathways will be totally different. If we just deal with anxious person, let's put here, anxious or depressed. These are kind of two different stages of wear and tear on the nervous system. I would offer this notion, correct me if I'm wrong, if you disagree with us. Anxious is when energy is high. Depression, where energy is barely there. So relaxation pathway for an anxious person will be, we can envision it as cool off, for instance. If we were to think about visual aid, if we were to design breathing practice, it's a cool off, it's a blow off, it's release, it's a sigh, relief, softening, low, balanced, grounded. Energy needs to be balanced. Energy needs to dissipate. If we're dealing with sad, depressed person, their body is already overworked. And they don't need to cool off further. They don't need to relax into more self-oppression. They don't need to relax into something that's near death. That's the next stage. Their relaxation will be associated with more, potentially. I'm hypothesizing, I'm brainstorming my ideas, but for you to understand the logic, how I think about it. Sad and depressed, it is some relaxation that's associated with more vitality, more warmth, more light. It's the relaxation with more fluidity, maybe with movement. Instead of seeking balance, cool off, steadiness, we are pursuing relaxation in motion, with some softness, with some invigoration. We need to lift the state up. So we are more likely to be using breathing techniques that are more warming, visual elements that are more sunny or grassy, something maybe with plants, something that's still not like active, but something that's alive. Alive elements like grasses, like leaves, like flowers, like trees. That pathway. Then, for movement, anxious person, we need to shake it off first. We can create a sequence in which this person will first shake off this electricity. The anxious tension can be perceived and visualized as electric charges, like having a woolen sweater on that itch. It can be perceived as rocks sitting on you and you want to get out. They can be perceived as some heat source or very hot day that you want to escape. It can be perceived as somebody sitting on the shoulders and annoying you. This type of tension. So whatever image comes to your mind, that's an anxious state. Come up with the visual and state in which you are in. It's not the movie that you're watching, it's the movie you're participating in as the main character. What is this visual? What is this sensory, touch, objects, what comes to your mind? Maybe you perceive yourself as the jittery electric bolt, like. Who are you in this visual? And then let's maximize this state, like we did in energetic practice. This initial condition, let's maximize it. Let's dissolve in it fully. And then let's find an antidote. Maximize it to the point of discharge. Maximize it to the point of release. And then, when you release this through movement, through attacking it, maybe there is a source of your anxiety, an important part here. Source of anxiety. Maybe it is some project or some milestone that you need to accomplish that pisses you off. Maybe it's a deadline. Maybe it's some boss or some friend that behaves in some weird way and you don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's all of the above. Visualize that. Give this your energy, sort it out. And then we can go and pursue the state in which anxiety doesn't exist, in which these problems cannot exist. We can help ourselves, for example, first we need to address the problem. Anxiety, without addressing the problem, it's a void activity. Address the problem. Find, for instance, if you have many problems, like huge amount of problems all at once, that give you this electrified state. Find the queen bee of these problems. Make it a priority. Make this sorting work. And use your internal state at the maximum of agitation to feel whether you are properly selecting or not when you're bare nerve. If you have 5 different problems that you try to tackle or think that they all are of high priority, it's rarely true. Sometimes there's one thing that's of high priority, and other things just get swept by your mind in the same category of things that cause you anxiety, but not necessarily having super high priority. So tackle and sort these things. Agree with them. Come to some agreement with the source of the anxiety. When you come to peace, to some consolation, appropriate that. How I would envision that. This would be my thing. I'm putting it, you can use, actually speaking of objects, you can bring pieces of paper into your practice. Paper and pen, where you will draw the symbol. For instance, you found the queen bee problem of yours that you need to solve, the priority. In your meditation, in your visual meditation here at the phase of anxiety, focusing on anxiety, grab a piece of paper, scribble something with eyes closed even, something that's a symbol of that queen bee problem. Make a pact with it. Write it down, put it to the side. Now it's out of your head. You decided, you materialized your decision. And now you can journey out, now that you removed the problems from your mental space and chaos that your brain hardly can compute, to the paper. The path is clear. In your visual space, the path is clear. You agreed with all of that. And now you can go pursue your relaxation. What this relaxation can be? Relaxation can be a combination of practices that we already studied that in the workshops, that are sensations in the body or breathing, and combine it with visualization. For instance, I will be entering a cooling water. I will be in this cool water, just floating. And then I will gradually, this water will become warm and it will become this pleasant bath or a thermal bath with like outside. I'm in this tranquility. And for instance, anxiety, not always it needs to end in relaxation, like dissociation. Sometimes it needs to end in balance. So we can, from this state, we can balance it with breathing to bring us this steady state, no anxiety, neither we are sleepy. We can work like that. Then people who are familiar with focus, defocus practices can also add an element not only of cool, warm breathing, calming, activating, balancing breathing. We can also introduce defocus. We can defocus on ourselves. I am just a human experience. Instead of feeling this tension, I will diffuse this tension. Boom, to the size of the universe, like we do this in the practice. Degenerate this tension. Make it something that you cannot even grasp. Outlive it. Outsmart it. Exit it. Degenerate it. Cleanse your human experience. Now it's a human experience. You will achieve clarity through that. Exit the meditation on the point of clarity. Balanced state. Not necessarily, again, relaxation like sleep-like relaxation. But relaxation from anxiety to balance. From inability to solve problems to clarity and ability to solve problems. From this electricity and huge waste of energy to healthy, steady energy. Now, with depression. Person with depression is really exhausted. Person with depression is running on very low fuel and burning this fuel very inefficiently. Person with depression has lost resources long ago or lost access to resources. So what to do in the moment? How to design a practice for person in depression or deep sadness? We go into this space. We can induce this visual space. How do you envision your sadness or depression? Up to you. If I envision that it's very low clouds and windy field, very lonely place, very desolate. And then it kind of like this wind, I just become like those plants that I swing in the wind, and I just surrender. My legs become soft, my body becomes soft, and I just like those plants that are bending to the wind. I just let this wind put me on the ground. And I'm on the ground, stretched. Can I lay down? Absolutely. Can I envision this as laying down? Yes. We can work with the body, with movement as well. Here as well, with the movement, we absolutely move here. Then, like we did in energizing practice, we can allow ourselves to fully dissolve in this visual space. The goal here, however, is of course, given the limitations of energy here, it might be challenging for some people to keep visualization going. But what I noticed is if you find the imagery that you have very good affinity to, even people with incredible level of exhaustion are capable of sustaining visual work and finding the states of rest. I worked with a very fascinating case in which a lady was so exhausted. She could only imagine herself as a bodiless cloud, as non-material thing. Because being materialized meant some obligations, and there was no resource to sustain any of those. And so there was a huge story unfolding in the shape of a cloud. So authentic imagery, that's why it's so important to do it in customized fashion, coming from within. The imagery will be sustained even by a person with deep depression. Attempts to force anything upon such person will be an instant failure, resistance, inability to conduct anything. And so we're finding the recipe for this person. What is required for you to relax? Let's find the state of this deep relaxation. Yes, of course, we have full body breathing. That's a sure thing for relaxation. Yes, we have exercises in Tantra that allow to access relaxation. But if we were to find this custom space for a specific case, this person, for a specific reason, for something that they are most unwilling to partake in the world, that keeps them in this depression, we're going to speed up our recovery. Let's do this one. So we're journeying with this person through this depression. Maybe this person will find an image of ascension. Maybe this person will find the image of floating, dissociation. What is it that they're craving? And add breathing to that. Add breathing to this visual space. Add light movement or touch. Objects may be overbearing for this person. Actually, touch or objects may be overbearing. For a person in depression, it's really difficult to handle heavy impulses. So relaxation from the state of depression heavily relies on airy things, warming, barely there, influences that are very gentle. So we're going to work in that direction with very gentle visual work, very organic, that comes from within the person, with breathing that's very gentle, with very gentle movement perhaps. So that's how we'll address relaxation in that case. So I hope you got the idea of how to design those practices, the logic. And then, of course, for relaxation, we are not dismissing the practices, the exercises from the core Tantric course. Oh. Twins and twins. Hippa, I know that feeling I'm too, but there is a space between totally available people like us. Can I find in the moment by being present and doing this? The one real green man. Thank you. Thank you. Dismaxing. Void of activity. Legend. Very interesting. Cool. I feel like crying. I think it's tapping into my whole broken self. Don't repress yourself. Alter ego of Hippocrates showed up. Great Olm. Hello. When having a weightless floating feeling, even during practice, it is to me pleasant. I think it feels very honest to what I personally need. Paxton Bear, thank you so much. James Miller. A most excellent lesson, Nastya. Many thanks to you. Thank you, Shuriken. I'm happy that you were able to stay longer today. It's always nice. Thank you, James Miller. Nasty's fine. Yeah, it's okay. I'm kind of with my scientific career, my whole portfolio is on the internet, so with relaxation, Kiva is keeping up. Any questions, comments, any add-ons, ideas? Now, next we're going to move on peace, finding your core, finding myself, finding clarity. It seemed like a good cheat on my technology diet, and so it has been. Professor, can you say an over-dramatized hello like I just got home from the war after 5 years? May I not imagine that? I don't want to. Пришел кохостик мой с хвостиком, кохостик с хвостиком. Ты присел, мой сладкий принц. Да, я тебя обожаю тоже. Очень тебя тоже люблю. Сильно. Мой буянчик, мамин любимый мальчик. Самый кудрявый, самый пушистый, самый умный, самый хозяйственный пес на свете. Самый охотничий, самый охранничий. Да. Думаю, сладенький, да. Все тебя любят, все тебя обожают, все тебе присылают сердечки, все тебе присылают много лублин. Моя зайка, моя ушастая собачка. Да. Да, мой хороший, мой прикольный, мой сладенький, самый красивый, самый хороший, самый добрый, самый любимый мальчик, самый мой умный. Да, самый талантливый, самый нажористый, самый сладенький, но самый красивый бородой, с такой длинной бородой, такой Хоттабыч. Мамин Хоттабыч. Ой, Хоттабыч, да. Самый рогожевый, самый бандитский мальчишка. Все тебя просто обожают. Да, просто обожают. И я тебя обожаю тоже, да. Обалдеть. Лайки супер. Она как волк. shit. Uh-huh. Иди давай, продолжи. Furry fella. No signal. Hugs to you. Тебя обнимает. Кузенька тебя обнимает, кивушка. Угу. Да. One second. What breed is that angel? He is Yorkie Poodle. My dog never leaves my side and moans when the door's shut. Mm-hmm. Unless the reason is unclear to him, he also will be screaming. Like, I need to tell him that I'm working. For example, when I record something and I need him out of the room, the case when I close the door, and he knows working, so he is calm about it. But if you don't tell him what you're going to do in the room, or you tell him something that's nonsense, then he starts panicking, like, what's going on? So we have that deal. Dogs are amazing, yes. I'm not gone into the real backcountry in quite a while, but I love those sports with no cell service, no roads, and so on. There's nothing to do in such places, save, really, lie, live. Okay, are we done with relaxation? Mine is a Yorkie mix too. That's cool. Что такое? Прогозненько. I've camped out in Virginia and West Virginia. I traveled all the way from Ireland to Virginia. And West Virginia. Yes, we're done with relaxation. Kiva is done with relaxation. Any questions, comments? Do you feel like you didn't get enough of the information on that and you would want more? Or do you think that... Basically, do you think that you will be able to design some customized practice for yourself for relaxation after this introduction? Or do you have some things that are like, nah, I'm not inspired to, I don't feel like it, and if I try thinking of how I would do it, I rather don't know. So, what's the mood? Hippo reincarnated, Hannah. I didn't reach that far, only got down as far as Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. I felt like it was spectacularly instructive, tons of food for thought, and I think designing a practice seems very doable now. Yes, is it possible to relax if you have a fear of time? Yes, you should actually employ that. If you know exact fear that you have, you can find the keys from that. I'm not going to project my experiences on you because I want you to do it yourself, to actually attune with that fear of time and find the exact antidote for that. Because your body and your mind, they know everything, but I don't like dividing mind and body. I don't know, it's a arbitrary, I guess, socially acceptable notion, body and mind. But your body-mind system knows the answers. Yes, Kishkom? And time also, Hannah, if you have, for instance, if you have discomfort with time in the moment, then it is imperative for you to set some time frame for the practice if you want to do something large enough. Like devote, for example, I have 2 hours to do anything I want. I set the timer for 2 hours, such that time is a concept that's external to you right now for that time frame. And you can fully sink into your experiences. But then in the practice, fear of time is an incredible thing that's totally workable with. Time exists, just for some ideas, time exists only when you are not fully integrated. That's when time exists. So when you focus on fear of time, like time is slipping, time is moving, you are rushing, you cannot catch it, degenerate that situation. Make time move at some insane pace and see how you fail to catch it or where it will bring you. In your meditation, run as fast as possible. See how your body starts pumping. And then see that no effort helps to do this. Only transcension helps. And what is the state that you will find when you transcend the chase? When you transcend the attempt to catch time? Would the practice be more effective when feeling sad or anxious? The practice will be, well, I'm not sure I understand the question because the practice will be different for each case. Seeking of efficacy, of course. When I'm not fully integrated. Yes, not fully integrated. And another layer to that. You can be fully integrated. Yes, you can feel that. But then we cannot dismiss the flow of life. Another layer to that is to find your own recipe for how to live in the flow of life. Where is the state in which you can flow with the flow of life, with the pulse of life? Not time, not the chase, letting the pulse of life go through you. Find your own pace. That is the pace of pulse of life. That's an extra layer to that. Okay, so it's a more general thing. You don't exactly need to feel sad or anxious. Different outcomes. Yes. Yes, I got it now. So if you're not anxious, you're not sad or depressed, but you just want to relax. Okay, we have another variable, I guess. What is that? What is that state that is not anxious or sad or depressed? What is the state that's not relaxed, Kiva? Let me know that. How would you describe that third state that's not relaxed? I like to dismiss the flow of life to avoid my fear of time. So Hannah Lucy, for you the homework is to go crank up your anxiety about flow of time, just like race of time, fear of time, maximize it, degenerate it, and then find the state of integration and then let the pulse of life through. The pulse of life can be felt through your heart rate. The pulse of life can be felt through the heart rate combined with the breath rate. There are actually some cool breathing patterns that can automatically kick in when you're breathing at the pace of your heart rate. And breathing can be super shallow in the lower belly. So, Han, experiment with these things. Find the recipe for your body. It can be, again, it can be any form of gymnastics, it can be any form of pace of actions, it can be your own unique pace of breathing, it can be your state of being present in a certain way. It can be a certain visual cue that you will be able to carry with you. Design it. Let's not ignore that. Excessive dynamic tension. Kiva, I don't want to carry on too much. I'll just leave it in mind. I'm intrigued though. What is that state? How would we describe it? Fear maxing. It's nice to have the concept of time close to you, Hannah. I didn't have that for years. It came from having too much time, uninterrupted or pressured. Well, perspective, but time brings awareness and results. Sometimes it brings anxiety. Sometimes it brings the urge to race against something that you cannot win. Sometimes it brings suita. How to say suita in English? Who knows Russian? Suita. Who has translator under their hands? Basically, hamstring the wheel feeling. Makes my chest tight. Exactly. That's that pressure, that tension that's paralyzing. That incapacitates you, drains your resources, makes you unable to enjoy and feel alive. Because of the race, the chase of some variable that slips away seemingly. Suita. I need to really scoot this time. Thanks so much, Nastya. I hope you and all friends here have a wonderful one. Have a great night. Thank you for sticking around for so long tonight. And also a lot of cool inputs today. Shuriken, take care of you actually go. Have a nice life. So what we're up to right now. Hannah Lucy has experimental practice assignment. Kiva hold on to her secret about that not relaxed state. Shuriken is leaving. And we're about to move on to peace, finding self, and clarity. Probably all in one, by the way. So I'm going to relax, or erase relaxation rather. What am I saying? Now, we have a challenge. We have a very ambitious goal. Yes, hold on to secret for topic moving on sake. Doesn't help my curiosity, but I will respect that. Thank you. Um, Yum, yum, yum. So flabbergasted, INFJ. Are we ready to go on? So I had to let my dog in the car. Probably missed a lot. Well gone. Um, Nothing on the on topic per se, but with Hannah and I were discussing the time thing. That's what probably you missed. We want to design a tantric practice for finding peace, finding myself, finding my core self, reconnecting with myself, and to find clarity. This is our ambitious task. I want to accomplish these things inside of a tantric practice. Granted that I'm already practicing tantric conditioning practices, conditioning exercises that we study in the workshops. But I still feel like something in my head, something in my internal world doesn't feel right, doesn't feel authentic. There's no ease. I still feel vulnerability. I still feel like some pathways in my life distract me away from myself, that I'm not totally connected with my core. Sometimes it's also quite vulnerable. So I want to have practices that allow me to get there. Sometimes my thoughts are so plenty. Sometimes my thoughts are so aggressive. Sometimes somebody else's voices are so prominent that I forget what I'm about, what my life is about. I forget what I need to be doing. I forget what I want. I forget my desires. I forget my core desires. What to do? How can I design a practice or ritual? Tantric practice or ritual. By tantric, let's agree to think of it as the union of all the components of our being in full alignment. Design a practice or ritual for achieving these. What to do? What is peace? In this grand sense, not peace like a graveyard peace. Because peace for some people who are especially tired and on the brink of depression can be the graveyard peace. Being a flower on the grave, that's peace. Not that peace. We're talking about peace as stability. We're talking of peace as the steady core experience of life. It's not an escape. It's instead a very overwhelming connectedness with life. It's an overwhelming connectedness with self. It's not this peace, hiding, looking at life from some rock or from a den, just peeking at life. No. It's a dull, very mature sensation of being able to swim in this ocean of life. To feel the core. to feel home inside of your body, to feel alignment. This is the grand definition of peace that a lot of people desire. Not the graveyard peace. This life peace. I conduct the flow of life. I stand firmly. I flow with the flow of life. However you want to imagine that. Whatever state is more relevant for you right now. Myself, core, they're tied to being at peace. I am myself. I am connected. I am at that state. I am resourceful. I am anxious. I'm not at peace when I don't know my resources. When I don't manage my life, when I don't see my life, when I don't feel my life, when I don't feel myself, when there are voices in my head, when there are opinions, there and thens, some goals, objectives, some like things that occupy my mind, anything but center, anything but core, anything but understanding the priority, being grounded, strong, powerful, empowered, resourceful, calm, energetic, and in charge. This connectedness to the core, stability, resourcefulness, and clarity. Our brain cannot actively compute more than 3-4 things at a time. 3 things is the golden maximum. If you attempt to keep in mind and actively process more than 3 concurrent things, clarity will be gone, just because the brain doesn't have multi-core processing over 3 units of tasks. You cannot parallelize more without losing much efficiency. So we have this natural limitation to 3 units of active processing. When we have millions of tasks, thoughts are like flies that are not coming into a coherent picture when we have something like this going on. We cannot assemble it into one picture that we analyze. The clarity is gone. When we don't feel ourselves, when we are in such an anxious, jittery state that we cannot feel our resources, there's no clarity. There is lost concept of self. There is lost concept of my resources, what my life constitutes, what my path constitutes. This is why I united these topics in one. Peace also can be remove extra stimulus from me, please. Remove extra information that I can't process, please. Fatigue from being hyperstimulated. Fatigue from being hyper emotionally stimulated, agitated. This is the desire. It's not the desire to just go into this cold, stale world. So now that we've understood what it all means, now we can start working on designing the practice. Because without that, These terms are heavily abstract. But when we understand them in simple terms, we can start approaching it. So how to find this alignment? How to find this core? The core is found when our emotions, mind, body, intuition, our path, they all converge into one thing. You're not going to find your core if one of those components went for a walk somewhere. It creates vulnerability. Basically, core is found in here and now. Fully in here and now. Stability, myself, clarity are found here and now. Because when there are those thoughts are bringing us there and then. So we are temporarily separated from here and now. And if we habitually get swept by the thoughts, and if thoughts become many of them that we're trying to catch in there and then, we are very much separated from here and now, from our body that is currently experiencing everything. So our first objective will be to reconnect all of the components: mind, body, emotions, associations, space that I perceive, my life that I perceive, all go into here and now. I need to maximize the physicality of my experiences. I need to maximize the physicality of my mental journey, my mental experiences. This is one path to doing that. And then when I maximize the physicality, the physical presence and union of my thoughts and feelings, when I become aware that only my body is capable of producing thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, after I've done that work, I am going to then maximize my potential. I am going to maximize my energy. I'm going to maximize my resources, such that I am surely aware of everything that I possess, such that I am bigger than the problems, such that I am stronger and bigger than any perturbation that exists in my fantasy, such that life problems become smaller than life. This is the pathway of this meditation, of this practice. Let's join. Let's do the logic here. Clarity and peace. First stage here. Here and now. We are to here and now. We are maximizing physicality, union between mind, body, and senses. After we've done that, after we've set in that, we are maximizing energy. How to align here? One of the tools that I have for this ultra presence is what we discussed in the beginning today. This is the practice giant. When we inflate our body, when we breathe, and we envision, we can, as a reference point, we can envision some object, some big object on earth, or something abstract, that becomes progressively smaller, the distances from ourselves, because we're grown so big. Every inhalation inflates us. Use this tool whenever you need to maximize your presence. You can try it right now. Stand, open pose. And start with each inhalation, you're filling up to your fingertips, out to your toes. Everything in your body inflates. You can aid yourself with this movement. This presence. I am big. I am fully infused with my breath, and this breath allows me to kind of get a very good understanding, sensory understanding of my sides, my body. Inflate yourself with each breath. Set the timer, 5 minutes or 4 minutes, and keep inflating. Some big, castle, some big building, a giraffe or a mammoth, were big and now they're small. Outgrow the earth, float in space. This can be the step. This can be the trick here. What are other tools here? If you are a little bit restless, you can introduce the metaphor of walking in the visual space. Add the movement. Add the movement. And as you're moving, you can go upstairs. You can envision stairwell that obstructs your view first, but you are moving, and with each breath, you're becoming bigger and taller and higher and higher and higher. And then you reach the top of the stairwell. Why not use this image? Go up the stairwell if you want to move. Add the movement, actually walk. And see how stairwell disappears under you. Start with obstruction if you don't see the path, if there is no clarity, if there is confusion, if there is some blockage that you're feeling. Let it be the stairwell and climb it up until it's gone. If you want to move or walk uphill, so giant or stairwell. On the top of the stairwell or in the peak of your giant existence. Now, envision some luminous space, insanely beautiful space. And bring yourself to that state, corresponding to this luminosity. You are fully embodied now. Maximize it. You're on top of the world. You are above the world. You are big, light, fully embodied, and strong. Now, walk over that. See, meet someone. You can introduce other creatures too. If you feel lonely, you can always invite human beings or animals in your meditation. Let them be a symbol that reflects on the quality that you want to reinforce. Meet them and meet your strength in them. Feel how they affect you. Resonate with them, come in contact with them. You can leave the meditation in this giant state or on top of the world state and bringing luminosity to it, to that high energy, maximizing this energy, such that your entire body that you now feel luminesces, shines light out of it. Very balanced state. Exit meditation on that. Take that state and proceed with your activities. Clarity also can be achieved through the meditation of Shiva and Shakti when we are employing this divine union, this pulse that creates ecstasy of life. That's something that we're going to work on during the workshop. This divine union concept, this pulse of life, that can give more particular work on these things. On whatever issue bothers you. You can do healing of the issue. You can do sorting of the issue. Replacement of some broken idea that's unpleasant, frustrating, not figure outable with the concept that's clear, with the concept that's embodied, that's with the concept that your whole entire existence agrees with. Replacement of experiences, sorting of thoughts, can be performed with that image, this pulsating ecstasy of life. So that's something that we'll be doing as well. Oui. Hippocrates is back. As someone with chronic anxiety, I'm definitely going to be getting taller when I walk from now on. Hannah? Walk over that like a dinosaur. Yes. Love you too, Hannah. Enjoy your night. I'm glad that we were done with all of our chapters before you have to leave, so very nice. And another thing that we touched up only a little bit, working with a piece of paper, with notes, objects work. Dance also, movement with an object that symbolizes something. Mohammed, thank you, I appreciate it. Oh my god, you guys are so sweet. So, working with objects, don't dismiss that either. Piece of paper, to draw something on it, to draw a symbol. You can also draw symbols of something nasty and then discard them afterwards. You can bring symbols that represent something desirable. Work with that. Something that's confusing. Work with that. Integrate it in your... Who is that? Очень тебя люблю, очень тебя люблю, мой символ маленький. And so, all of the resources, Tantra is so amazing in a way that it doesn't get rid of resources. It uses everything as resources. And it treats body and mind system as one united complex. So that's the beauty of it. That's the efficacy of the method. Vivi Lou, I don't know about you, miss, but it seems that it didn't hurt when you fell from heaven. Leave. I'm glad I'm going when everything's learned too, Hannah. Yes, it's wonderful. And I hope that you will have some moment to try doing that interesting creative task of designing your practice. Oh my god, hope you can hippo, hope you can smile tomorrow. Yes. So sweet, so sweet. Ну сладенький, ну сладенький, работник. Работник еще. I'm going to need to rewatch the stream for missed notes. Yes, Kiva. This is the rigor of the master student. Пирожок там. Ну, пирожок. I'm writing things down yet my mind isn't fully processing it as usual as much as I wanted to. It's okay, I understand that. Hanushka? One of five. Must be an Irish thing. Is it question time now? Yes, I'm sorry, I'm rewinding right now. I guess we're not going to do the recap today. Because the whole live stream was the whole lesson today. Maybe we should, I don't know. Let's see what questions you have. And if you have questions, maybe they will help us to summarize everything. Hippocrates. Oh, you can't. I was watching the gates of heaven. Just made a mistake. She escaped. Wait, no recap. If you want, let's recap. It kind of was like spiral logic, I think. Maybe we can. Do the recap. Sure, Hippocrates. Собака, пойдем recap делать? Кузенька, иди сюда. Кузя. Стопай, стопай. Ну-ка иди сюда рекап делать. Быстро иди на работу. Ай, какой собака. Ну-ка быстро на работу. Иди сюда быстро. My co-host is having zoomies. So, let's do the recap. Let's erase the last part. Все, Кузенька, на работу, бегом. Бегом на работу, бегом на работу. So today we discuss Tantric practices. Tantric practices, what they are, and how we design them. We talked about practices that you already know, the exercises that are full body breathing, focus, defocus, sensations in the body. What else? What else was there? Breathing practices. Not these practices. These are exercises that allow us to access different states, connect with our body, relax deeply, pursue basically this union between components of self on different levels. These practices employ visualization. These practices partially can be aided by audio stimulation, breathing, movement. We didn't cover as much, but perhaps in breathing, movement is something that is brought into perspective. Touch we haven't employed yet in these practices, but touch will be a part of subsequent practices. And working with objects. Working with objects is also the integral part of Tantra, and we haven't covered that as well. But these foundational practices give us an idea of how we can find this reciprocal relationship, reciprocity between mind and body, and hence drive our awareness to their union, indivisible nature. So we already are playing around, exploring this unity, this wholeness of human, with these practices alone. But what if we want more? What if we want to achieve specific goals? We covered several tasks. Relaxation, activation or energy, also solutions, finding answers to questions, finding self, finding clarity. We can also work with our sexuality. We can also seek physical comfort. Physical well-being. Many tasks. What is in your priority list? The assignment was, one of the assignments was to pick or think, what is in your priority list? What do you want? What do you want to design the practice for? Okay, you exercise these things, you get familiar with your body. But deeper, more particular work, what is it for in your case? What is it going to be? We need to identify. For anxious person, relaxation will be something so eagerly desired. Peace, finding the core, stability, grounding. For people who are in some relationship situation, sexual wellness might be a priority. For people who have Christ in relationship, finding peace and comfort and some love and ecstasy inside of the relationship will be a priority. Can we design a practice for that? Absolutely. For a person who, for instance, psychologically struggles to control their nutrition, can that be a task for a practice? Absolutely. Because even though those exercises that prime, condition your nervous system and the body, they may not address some particular need. They will be missing the exact colors that we need to paint this full, beautiful composition that we see, that we envision. Particular problem. And we've studied 3 case studies today. 3 case studies. We sought energy, how to lift energy. We sought relaxation practices. And of course, true self, peace. What else was there inside of this? Core. Clarity. That's what's there. Clarity. So we've studied 3 cases here, 3 objectives that you guys selected. For energy, we were looking how we could more precisely and on demand exploit the tools that we already learned from regulating practices or conditioning practices and exercises. But how can we make it more particular? How can we find the visual, very bright visual cue, the snapshot, that would allow us to quickly access these states? And we came up with the practice. I was performing this pursuit of energy. And we looked into that. The starting point is low energy. The starting point is not we force ourselves into this upbeat cheerleader vibe. No, we're not doing that. We are dissolving first in the default state right now, to then find the path to high energy. What comes in handy? States in the body, coolness, invigoration, breath, visualization, and movement. These things came to us in this energy practice. I illustrated that. And then relaxation. Relaxation is an interesting one because there are several modes in which a person might seek relaxation. A person may be tense in the mind, relaxed or not relaxed but fatigued in the body. The person may be jittery, electrified, anxious in the thoughts. Person can be depressed and seek relaxation. We looked at those case studies, walked through variants that are a little bit more, also more comprehensive, more stimulating than just the usage of conditioning exercises. The imagery that we work with, how an anxious person can sort out troubling things using objects, using visual and movement. Then through breathing and visualization, movement can ease into cool off How a depressed person can find a state that is lively but not overbearing. This gentle state, gentle affinity to something lively but relaxed. Looked at that. And then the last one is probably the most comprehensive. That required a lot of clarification, some upfront work. What is this true self? What is this core state? What is this clarity? It's having every component of yours aligned into one composition. It is understanding your resources. It is being on your path, full alignment. How to achieve that? Through bringing yourself into here and now and increasing, maximizing your presence in your body. And then ascending further and further and further beyond the scale of problems that you have. In this physicality, in this body, in this embodiment, you're expanding and broadening yourself, enlightening yourself, illuminating yourself, walking up, floating up, inflating, expanding, increasing, such that you see your resources, you see what your path is, you see the problems, and they are beneath you. They're not overwhelming. So that was an example that I demonstrated through the practice giant or through the practice of stairwell. This magic stairwell, with each step you are growing, and the stairwell eventually ends and you're on top of the world. And then you are bringing in this luminosity. This was our last example of the practice. Is anything that I said and showed today imperative? No. These are examples. These are examples of how I use logic to design practices. You can take elements of that. You can take logic and you can design your own practices with regard to that. You can try using my suggestions as a blueprint if you fully vibe with that. But it ultimately has to come from within your visual space. It must be your choreography, must be your impulses that you want to work with. The outcome of this lesson is first to understand the journey that you need to walk, which means the starting point and the final point. And then use as many tools as possible to get there. And then to also, we had the discussion actually, Kiva and I had discussion, how important it is to follow the impulses that arise inside of the meditation. How important it is to listen to what your body wants to do and follow that. Because our goal is to access and connect everything in a desired state. And then we're also employing breathing. We're not dismissing any of the skills that we've learned in the workshops. Focus, defocus, diffuse the problem, diffuse yourself. Sensations in the body. Use coolness, use warmth, use this for every body part, separately perhaps, if you need to. Use breathing, or don't restrict breathing. You can intentionally use it, or you can just let it happen naturally when you start activating in certain ways. Whatever visuals come to you, observe. Alignment, observe the priority, observe what you can do with it without much resistance. What comes naturally, and what is a more beautiful option? What is the most beautiful, most desired state in your psychophysical space? How should it morph for you to reach ecstasy in full alignment. This is the main outcome of this lesson, and I want you to go and try your own things with that in mind. Another thing that we didn't discuss, by the way, some fresh info. We also, by the way, discussed what distinguishes practice from just any mundane activity. So that's something that we talked about, that practice has an intention, practice has designated space and time, practice has entry point and exit point, and practice has wind down afterwards, some aftermath of the practice, be it relaxation and easing back into normal life, or be it activity, some action. So this is something that we also need to recap. How to implement all of this in practice? This is what we haven't discussed. Practical tools. What you will need for a meditation. All you need is effectively practical tools. We can use phone, voice recording. You can create your own guided meditation. When you write a script, for instance, or you write an assembly of elements, you can take notes when you go through the flow, and then you can record, you can write the script as a text, and then read it and record it with your phone, such that you can, without thinking, without observing, without processing, just enter the meditation. This is a very important tool. Because when you try to design meditation on the fly, when you try to compute something, when you try to control things, this reduces the quality of experience very much. So remember, we are building a controllable domain in which we can fully surrender to the experience. Because if we're trying to perform an experience without boundary, without security, with some extraneous things, it will be much harder to give in to experience. It will be much harder to locate majority of your processing power to this new experience. The efficiency will be very low. So, phone, voice recorder. Controllable domain. Remember that keyword that we have here. Then for certain practices that don't require guidance, for instance, the giant. If you want to just do this breathing practice, giant, just get a timer. Set timer for 3, 4, 5 minutes and perform this breathing. Then another thing that you might need is paper. Paper plus pen. Any symbolic object. Very handy tool, paper and pen. If something involves work with concepts, or trying to materialize something that bothers the mind, paper and pen to write a symbol. For instance, you cut paper. I like to do this when I perform my heavy-duty meditation work. I like to cut paper like A4 sheets in squares. I grab the pen, and inside of the meditation, I will just intuitively scribble something. without any controls, but just some placeholder, material placeholder for some concept. I hold on to it. It has weight. It exists in material world. It materialized my thought. I don't need to catch it in the mental space. I materialize it. It makes an insane deal of aid to meditation because it weighs it down, it eases brain, it releases much more processing power that otherwise would be located trying to grasp something in the mental space. No, bring it here. Same goes with with some symbolic object. Symbolic objects will be materializing something that you want to work on. And what do you want to do with it? Do you want to dance with it? Do you want to um, perform some acts with it? Do you want to crush it, or do you want to cherish it, or do you want to accept it? Do you want to see it? One genre of practice where it can be useful is some issues that you don't want to even see. That might be a very interesting work if there is something that is really difficult for you to start looking into. Some issue that has been bothering you for so long, it became very scary. It might be a really great idea to define an object for it and, for instance, unravel it or hold it with your eyes closed and then bring it closer to your vision. Gradually research it and come to accept the issue. Come to accept that it exists. How interesting would that would be? So think about that. It can be very creative. So objects are symbols. Do I recommend working with sounds? Do I recommend playing some chanting? Do I recommend working with some, I don't know, ocean sounds? Sound is a very powerful tool as well. But sound must be purposeful. We cannot just play some music that will just carry you into experience unrelated to the intention of your practice. And sometimes the choice of music may be not intuitive. Sometimes very heavy, dark music may be necessary for work that ultimately enlightens, that brings a lot of vitality. Why not intuitive? Perhaps it is actually intuitive, because if you think about the folk culture, I'll give an example from Russian folk culture. There is a genre of songs, folk songs, that are for experiencing catharsis. The singing that causes a huge emotional release before the person can move on to improving their mood. There are songs that deepen the grief. There are songs that deepen this gloom of soul, to then experience the rebirth. So the choice of sounds that accompany your practice, if you, for instance, don't have the guide, if you're just going, journeying from within, can be quite creative as well. So I have very specific preference for this. That's really unsettling in the normal state of mind. But for meditation, it kind of helps me to distance from the world and helps me to go in very deep states. So these are the things that may come in handy. Then for certain practices, of course, would be very nice to get a nice placemat. So practice designated space as well, on par with finding the controlled domain. Space. In space, it can be a rug, it can be a cushion, it can be objects, it can be altar, etc. So you designate your space. Something that turns this mundane process into something out of the ordinary. When you know that I unfold my rug, and this is when the practice begins. Because we're biorobots, so there are certain reflexes that kick in to certain response to stimuli. So if I have designated space, designated objects to place to create that mood, maybe flowers. I did a very big, very long, very powerful practice in the fall with cypress branches. So we cut the cypress tree, and there were a bunch of branches. There was it was kind of like hanging over the roof, so trimmed it up. A ton of cypress. I put them around and created a beautiful space. It was really special. So that can be used. You can buy flowers. You can create floral arrangement to designate the space for some big, profound practice. And we'll be learning how to do those in the workshop on Saturday. So if you want to sign up, email me. We're going to be looking how to set up this big process, very deep, conceptual meditation. So this is where we will stop. This is our state of affairs for today. So our review actually was handy because we covered another useful chapter. What's in the chat? I guess there are a lot of pornographic flowers that YouTube is not handling. Thank you, Kioshka, so much for beautifying the chat. So Hippocrates has a question. Nastya, in course of developing any of these practices, did you ever find one that scared you? Scared me. I don't know if it's... Practices that scared me. No, I wouldn't say that there were elements of fear in them. I wouldn't say there was element of fear. There were. It's a different state of mind. In the most intense practices, I enter the state of mind in which I'm less perturbed by certain things, and then the focus, the vector of meditations, is always joy, bliss, beauty, and love. So the vector of practices makes them ultimately beautiful. You're taking dysfunction and you turn it into function. You're turning something ugly and heal it. This is why the practices can hardly be found scary. So I don't know. New effects, of course, can be sometimes they can be quite curious. When we do focus defocus, for instance, or like Kiva mentioned, there are special feelings. Я поцелуйчик не сделал, мой ты сладкий. Ой, тебе поцелуйчик. Kiva experiences some foggy sensations. Can they be uncomfortable? Yes, they can be uncomfortable for different people. Can effects that we observe in states and sensations in the body be interesting and weird? For sure, physical sensations. Can someone go to stratosphere from Kapalabhati breathing? For sure, that can totally happen. But these effects, oftentimes, they are associated more with novelty than their own essence. Thank you for compliments, guys. Thank you, Time Harvest. Kilushka, thank you so much. Miss, we are East Europe, don't need dark music. We're native, built to grow, learn, appreciate life from little to big things. Sure. Kilushka, such a dangerous messaging. Oh my god, those flowers. You're welcome, Hippocrates. Thank you so much. You're too busy, yes. Basic moderation. Do you plan on going back to distilled water? Just can't trust them. No, I don't, because I move a lot. So carrying distiller around the world is not necessarily my preference. No. I have found a couple that scared me about practices. They scared me now, but didn't scare me back then. But now I can see how destructive and dangerous they can be, apart from very powerful. Well, share. The fog feeling is after the click happens. It was an interesting experience. Yeah, those things, yeah, they totally can capture your mind and start making you inquisitive, like what's up with that? So Hippocrates, I'm very curious which practices scared you and why. But yeah, if you were steady, then you would use it. I would probably try finding some super supreme distiller that's large, that doesn't cause a lot of off-gassing of the buildup to stink the water. It was the one I mentioned the other night, Nastya, that I had developed to stop myself from crying. Well, if we analyze the mechanisms of that again, the vector is to cope with something unfavorable as opposed to cracking it open and moving through it. So that's why it's understandable. But then if we turn the vector of it towards something desirable, then how those practices can be scary. This apart from discomfort of novelty. And it was sound associated, visual and action at the same time. Ты спать собрался, что? Борода. That's how I was brought up. Respect for women, give the flower, open the door, etc. No flowers. Jealous of his beard. Давай, не спи, ты что спишь на работе? Колбаска моя. Ты спишь на работе? Ну-ка, не спи. Не спать. Ну, еще гулять с тобой надо пойти. Да, надо погулять. Угу. Да, надо пойти погулять еще сходить. Ну, не сейчас прямо. Нет, подожди, куда ты собирался? Скоро. No time harvest. I played music in my head, but it was certain Latino type techno rave tune. It was kind of missing. Russian. Fear during practice is relatable 100%. Kiva throws a bomb right now. So let's discuss that sometimes. While at the same time visualizing everyone in front of me, oh my god, menacing. Time harvest for 3.5 years. 4 even almost. Until my last one broke. Or rather it became very unsustainable to just keep running it. The sabaka. No, I think it was, yeah, we're moving from Florida and that's where we discarded. We didn't bring it because we were traveling, moving everything in one tiny car. That's why it didn't fit. So that's, yeah. Oh, Shih Tzu love dogs and past German Shepherd, one Husky. You must be a loving person. Thank you, Vilo. I'm in my 2 months now. Notice 2. Oh. No, it was in the US. Now it's my 3rd month in Europe. You're still moving. Hippocrates, now locally probably. I'm staying in this apartment, I think, for summer. It's kind of agreement with my landlord right now. But everything can change. I don't know. We don't seem to have many tourists this season, so maybe it will be cool. Зайчик, сейчас, мой хороший. Thank you so much. But you're staying in that country. Yeah, for now, yeah. Damn, Joanne. No, I'm not single, time harvest. Foreseeable future, yes. I still don't forgive you too. Yeah, cute. Time harvest, it's okay. If I exist, that means that many more people exist. Unique people don't exist. I don't think. Like, very much. Maybe if there is like super mega unique person exists, one of a kind. But people of less unique qualities, these surely exist in abundance. Do you think it's possible for two people in a relationship to be completely devoted to each other in today's day and age? What it means to be completely devoted? On my channel, I bring the concept of bloody bucket, where people sacrifice something very important for the sake of relationship and then wait for payback with this like sacrifice or victimhood entitlement. That's some concept that I disagree with. What is this devotion? What do you mean by this devotion? I don't understand what you mean. Yes, flowers made it through, Kivушка. Every waking moment with each other without any selfishness. Meaning that they don't have any other interests in life. They are a couple that's capable of survival because they're constantly possessed with each other and they have no resource, no ability to take care of their own talents, of their own survival, resource acquisition, stabilizing themselves, interacting with nature, interacting with the world around them, communicating with other people. It's kind of unsustainable, I would say. And selfishness, watch my other live streams. There is difference between banging your head in your own ego and sitting and like watching, like trying to dissect yourself, and then using your ego as a pure source of your own desires and fuel and energy to walk your path. It's a huge fundamental difference. Whether your ego is the impediment on your path, the obstacle, or if your ego is the source and fuel. When you are completely at peace with it and you are not interested in sitting and dissecting it, poking at it. Девушка? So scary practices, Hippocrates. I am 31, almost 32. Already queen. Selfishness is a part of everyone, it's just that some of us hide it better, and over time it diminishes, but it doesn't disappear. I wouldn't even try to necessarily dive into that topic because it's not functional to think of degree of your selfishness when you can live your life and just be experiencing life. Then selfishness diminishes. What is selfishness in that sense? If you are just pure human experience, embodiment of human experience, why think about selfishness? What is that about? The thought becomes inferior. Scary practices, yes. Thank you, Time Harvest. But it's getting harder to live alone as time goes on. I mean, it's not normal to live alone. Humans are social creatures, and we inherently strive for some degree of attachment with someone, some emotional connection, and intellectual connection. So it's not normal for us to live alone. Neither it is normal for us to live, I don't think, in the paradigm of artificial paradigm of relationships and life structure either. The systemic life requires very strong conditioning and suppression of a lot of vital parts of our personality. So that's why I'm not a proponent of either, and I'm not a proponent of anything in general besides the pursuit of personal freedom and connection with your authentic self and desires. That's what Tantra is about. Do you plan on having kids? I don't plan per se. To me, it's a weird concept to have kids. You know, kids are a product of absolutely unleashed, insanely passionate, fully ecstatic, fully free sex. This is what kids are. And this purely unleashed, powerful, devoid of any form of control or restraint or any biological suppression, intimacy is contingent upon certain living conditions. When you are at the peak consistently, when you are consistently experiencing the ultimate peak and freedom of your life, that your body and mind can unite in this fantastic, ecstatic sexual experience. I don't want kids as kids. Like, I want to care for someone. I want to wash somebody's butt. I already washed my dog's butt. I don't look forward to becoming super vulnerable in the face of the system where kids make me seen by the system. When kids require me to suddenly interface with the people I don't care to interface with. When I need to interface with a medical system that I don't care to interface with. Kids to me mean sudden visibility and vulnerability in the system and a lot of the obligations to the system. So to me, it's an inherent conflict there that I struggle to resolve in favor of having children. To me, to enjoy maternity, it would take me about $500,000 of money, of disposable free money, such that I can afford staff, such that I don't have to think about logistics of their education ever, because I'm not touching any school subject ever again. I'm not worrying about trying to twist the system as much as possible to get free education as much as possible. I'm not doing that. When I can afford paid medicine when I can afford holistic functional medicine that's oftentimes not covered by any form of insurance or anything like that, when I don't need to think about that. And when I can live freely wherever I want and be able to afford the best food possible for my kids, which is quality meat, which is quality raw foods, quality dairy. These are my standards, but these things are they're slipping away. And if I manage to buy myself out of certain systems, kids without a huge financial contribution, without a huge financial freedom, will inevitably bring back the need to be in the inferior position in the face of the system. That's what kids are. Even though kids on the biological level are incredibly desirable because they are the flow of life. You become the conductor of life. You become the conductor of the flow of life. And they're a product of the most ecstatic, unleashed sex. That's, of course, an insanely attractive thing. So there is a huge conflict because, understand that nowadays parents are in such a vulnerable position because of how they're treated, how children are treated. They're basically your full responsibility, your full investment for something that you will surrender to the system. This is the trap. This is where having children, unless you are taking full advantage of the system for them, like certain communities do, when they receive full coverage to raise children, when they don't pay for the children. Unless you approach it that way, children are an ultimate scam. It's just an expensive experience. And to make it enjoyable, you need, I calculate, I need $500,000. That's what's needed to enjoy this experience. I know what it takes to raise a kid because I raised my brother. I know exactly what it takes to give them good education. I know exactly what it takes to go through all of these things. And I am tired. As a sister, I'm tired. Time Harvest, you are saying absolute nonsense about that. I'm very curious if the wombs were, those autonomous wombs were a thing, if men would worry about these things so much. Trends, you're very misguided. People who waste their life waiting are indeed wasting their life. There are ways to live life instead of wasting life. And I hope you will come to realization that how to live life. Starting to get some colorful characters. Yeah, I think I'll just go walk my dog right now. Because it's getting late. So, it was really cool workshop today. Ended on a colorful note. And yet, right now, we'll reminisce on what we've covered today. It was really fun because I actually got to do a practice. The first one I did to the T, and felt really wholesome. So we have a whole recipe written out. So thank you guys. We'll meet again this coming week. And for those who are participating in workshops, wait for the links. So they will be in your email again. Can you send me the link to the energy to workshop, please, Nasty? Yes, I will. Sure. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much, guys, today. Madam, спасибо for your feedback. Thank you, Kilushka. So, good night, you all. Go to sleep, neighbor free. Doesn't work like that. It was a great stream. Thank you, Q. I agree with you. I really enjoyed it. See you next time.